Why detachment works. Detachment, or detaching with love, is one of my 10 relationship changing principles in my books and in my classes. Detachment is super important in healthy relationships. Healthy people do it automatically, maybe don't even realize they're doing it. But when you're in unhealthy, dysfunctional relationships, detachment is something that you have to learn to practice and that you have to work really hard on, because in dysfunctional relationships, it is easy to obsess about what the other person is doing because they're doing things that could be harmful to the relationship, could be harmful to themselves, could be harmful to other people that we care about, doing things that are upsetting, doing things that are affecting us. So we find ourselves reacting to their moods, to their choices, to their words, to their behaviors, to their thoughts, to their feelings, and get wrapped up in that, and we stop living our own lives. We stop paying attention to how we are feeling. And so when we don't detach, what we're doing is we find ourselves trying to force people to change, trying to force that person to do what we want them to do because we're constantly reacting to them. And that does not work. Human nature wants freedom, the freedom to choose. God created us with the freedom to choose. He lets us choose. He lets us have the dignity to choose, even if it means we choose things that He does not like. My favorite example of this is in Luke 18 to 23. And that's when the religious leader asked Jesus, he said, "Teacher, how can I get eternal life?" And Jesus said, "Well, for you," this guy apparently was really rich, and Jesus knew that this guy wouldn't do anything unless he gave up his riches. So he just said, "For you, you have to give up all your riches." And the man, doesn't mean you have to, and the man said no, and he walked away. Jesus let him walk away. He just let him go. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I would have done that. I might have said, "Hey, come back, let's talk about this. Maybe only half your riches, maybe a quarter, maybe a third, maybe just give a little bit every year." Because I would have thought, I really want this person to be saved. And just like I want my loved ones to be saved, I want my loved ones to make good choices and be responsible and be healthy and not do things that hurt me and do things that make the relationship better. I want my husband to do those things. And the natural response when a person close to you, really close to you, the closer the person is, the more likely it is that you're going to try to force change, is to do that through nagging, through lecturing, through getting mad, through all kinds of different ways. So human nature does not do well when forced. Human nature does better when the person has their own choice, the freedom to make their own choice. So what we have to do with detachment is learn to live our own lives. You learn to live your own life, let the other person live his or her own life, and that means each of us has our own feelings, our own thoughts, our own beliefs, our own choices, our own actions, our own values, our own mood, all of those things. And letting that other person have theirs, we have ours, I have mine, you have yours. We can recognize separation, healthy separation, even though we're in the relationship together. We are two people that are separate individuals, each going to give a answer to God for how we live, not based on what the other person does, but just based on what we do, and each of us making choices for ourselves. 1 Thessalonians 4:11 through 12 in the New Living Translation says, "Make it your goal to live a quiet life, minding your own business and working with your hands, just as we instructed you before. Then people who are not Christians will respect the way you live, and you will not need to depend on others." So each of us needs to focus on ourselves, living our lives. Now, detachment with love. I talk about detachment with love, not detaching and being completely out of the relationship unless you need physical detachment, which means if you're married, you have a separation or possibly a divorce, or with a loved one who's super toxic and you can have no relationship, then you separate. So, and you might have to cut off that relationship if it's super, super harmful and you've done what you can. But it's basically with love. With love means that you're still engaged in the relationship. You still are caring. You're still involved. You're still interacting. You're still doing the things you need to do to have a healthy relationship. You're still healthily attached, but detached when you're having to make choices for yourself and let the other person make choices also. So that's why detachment works, and I highly, highly recommend detachment. So you can find more information on that on my website, changemyrelationship.com, in both of my books on difficult relationships that teach my 10 relationship principles, and also in lots more of my YouTube videos, and I also have free devotion subscription that talks about that. So you'll find lots of information on detachment. So thank you for watching this video on Change My Relationship.